Ant, with you being like an ops chief and you monitoring all these weigh-ins, is that sort of like your experience? Do most people just step on the scale and make it? Do you see people trying to cut weight coming in starved and dehydrated? What's your experience with all of that?
Yeah, man. The fact that I'm actually in charge of this program in the fleet in my job, I see all walks of life, man. I see Marines that are teetering on the minimal scale. I see Marines that are just they can eat whatever and they're always good. And then, I've seen Marines that come in, freaking out of standards. And then that's where we have, like you mentioned, this episode, we have the body composition program. So the Marine Corps, you have to weigh in twice a year, between January and June the first time, and then between July and December. So you got to weigh in twice and you got to be within standards. And like you were mentioning earlier, each height has a minimal and a maximum when it comes to weight allowed. So for me, I'm not gonna say my height, you know what I mean, tall, but
You're short
so
king.
I am a short king. So for me, I'm 64 inches. So my 64 inches, my max is 155 pounds. So if it's time for me to come weigh in and I come weigh in and I'm more than 155 pounds, that's when two Marines come in and they go in and then they tape me. All right, they tape my neck and they tape my waist. Each one of those evaluators take me 3 times. And between those 3 times, they take my height and they subtract my neck and my waist, and they come with the cost circumference value, which will total a number and give me a body fat percentage. Well, in the
Yeah.
Marine Corps, each age you have a different body fat percentage. All right. So for me, since I'm an older Marine, my max allowable weight is 20%. So if I'm below the 20, if I'm 20% or below, I'm good. So even though I got taper, I'm out of standards. Technically, I'm within standards because my body fat is the max allowed weight. If
Mm-hmm.
I'm 22, 23%, now what we have is we call a BIA machine, a body index machine, pretty much, where we take the Marine, they go and they grab it, and this scale is crazy because it gets your actual body fat in your arms and your legs, and it tells you if your right arm's bigger than your left arm, if your left leg's bigger than your right leg, and then what your actual true body fat percentage is. And I'm sorry to say, man, with this scale, if we get you at like 19-20%, that scale's gonna get you at like 23-24%. So if that's the case, once we get your true body fat percentage, if you're out of standards, then we assign you to a 6 month evaluation process. All right. So it kind of starts off punitive. It's not really supposed to be punitive. So
Mm-hmm.
if you are out of standards, you will get assigned a 6105 because you're out of standards. The Marine Corps tells you must maintain standards 24/7 as long as you're a Marine. So if you're out of that when you start this process, you will get a 6105, and then you get goals each month. All right. So we're trying to get you back within the max allowable maximum weight or your max body fat percentage. All right. So if it's 155 pounds and 20%, we're going to try to get you in that range through the 6 month evaluation. All right. So each month you may be required to lose 2 pounds, 3 pounds, and half a percent of body fat until at the end of those 6 months you get in one of those two, if not both. So the goal is always to get a Marine back within those 6 months. Because if not, if you just say, "Hey, I don't care, I'm not about it," that's probably the easiest way out of the Marine Corps. Because at the end of those 6 months, you can get processed for administrative separations. But again, that's not the intent. We get it. Life is hard, depending on your job. Like you're doing crazy stuff. You got crazy hours. You're not sleeping as well. You're deploying,
Mm-hmm.
eating garbage and stuff like that. So it happens. It's not trying to be it's something that's bad, but like I said, you decided to be a Marine. You decided to have that standard that the Marine Corps said. So we got to get you back in standard. So after that 6 months, if you're good, if you're able to hit the max height, the height and weight or body fat percentage, you will get taken off. If you're having trouble with it and you're slowly making progress at the end of the 6 months, if it shows that you made a significant amount of progress, we can actually recommend to the CO like, hey, let's go ahead and give this man a one-time extension. And we can
Mm-hmm.
give you 6 extra months to try to get you off at the end of that total year period. And hopefully 9 times out of 10, we get people off, right? People get off.
Yep.
They realize it's all about healthy habits, making smart choices when it comes to the meals that you have, when it comes to actual PTing, you know what I mean? Because we get in the fleet, it's not mandatory PT every day when depending on what unit or shop you with. So you kind of fall out of the PT aspect and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But like you mentioned earlier, man, really it's just knowing your body. You know what I mean? I'm not a nutritionist. I don't got nutrition, education. I can mention what works for me, but what works for me doesn't work for you. Like you said, like we're two different people, we're two different heights. You know what you got to do to, get yourself within standards or lose the weight. And I do too, what I mean? So the biggest thing, the greatest thing is that we're the day and age where all you got to do is Google that stuff, figure out what's out there and what's working for your body to get yourself back into where you need to be, if that makes sense.